The return to democracy, 1988-1990. The period began with a sense of optimism following the end of military rule under General Zia-ul-Haq, whose passing in 1988 opened the door for democratic elections. Benazir Bhutto, daughter of the executed former Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, returned from exile to lead her party to victory. At 35, she became the first female head of government in a Muslim-majority nation, a landmark achievement that brought international acclaim and hope for a new era of civilian rule. Her first term, however, was fraught with challenges. She faced a hostile political establishment, including the presidency, the military, and intelligence agencies, all of which had been powerful under the previous regime. Her government attempted social reforms, but it was continuously undermined by allegations of corruption, primarily centered around her husband, Asif Ali Zardari. These accusations, though never fully proven in a court of law, were used as justification for President Ghulam Ishaq Khan to dismiss her government in 1990 under constitutional powers that were later revoked. The rise and fall of governments, 1990-1996. Following Bhutto's dismissal, Nawaz Sharif, a businessman and politician from Punjab, was elected prime minister. His first government focused on economic liberalization and privatization. He sought to reduce the state's role in the economy and promote business growth, launching major infrastructure projects and attracting foreign investment. However, like his predecessor, he soon found himself in conflict with the president and other state institutions. This power struggle culminated in 1993 with both Sharif and President Ghulam Ishaq Khan being forced to resign, leading to another period of political uncertainty. Benazir Bhutto returned to power for a second term in 1993 with high public expectations. She again pursued social welfare programs and policies aimed at women's empowerment. However, her government continued to face mounting political opposition and corruption allegations. The political landscape was further complicated by increasing urban violence, particularly in Karachi, where ethnic conflict involving the MQM party led to hundreds of deaths. In 1996, her government was once again dismissed, this time by President Farooq Laghari, on charges of mismanagement and corruption, bringing the decade of democracy to a close. Nuclear pride and military confrontation, 1997-1999. In 1997, Nawaz Sharif returned to power with a massive electoral victory. His government passed the 13th Amendment, a significant constitutional reform that stripped the president of the power to unilaterally dismiss the government. This move was intended to secure his position and prevent the kind of political instability that had defined the preceding years. In 1998, a pivotal moment in Pakistan's history occurred. Following India's nuclear weapons tests, Sharif's government faced immense domestic and international pressure. On May 28, 1998, Pakistan conducted its own nuclear tests in the Chaghai Hills of Balochistan. The event, celebrated by the public as Yom-e-Takbir, or the Day of Greatness, made Pakistan the world's 7th nuclear power. While it was a source of national pride, it also led to severe international sanctions, which further strained the country's fragile economy. Less than a year later, in 1999, the country was drawn into the Kargil War with India. Pakistani soldiers, disguised as militants, secretly crossed the line of control into the Kargil region of Indian-administered Kashmir. The military operation was led by the then Chief of Army Staff, General Pervez Musharraf. The conflict resulted in heavy casualties and brought both nuclear-armed nations to the brink of a full-scale war. Facing intense international pressure, particularly from the U.S., Prime Minister Sharif ordered a withdrawal of Pakistani forces. This decision was seen as a betrayal by the military, creating an irreconcilable rift between the civilian government and the army leadership. The coup of 1999. The simmering tensions between Sharif and Musharraf reached a boiling point on October 12, 1999. While General Musharraf was in the air returning from a trip to Sri Lanka, Prime Minister Sharif attempted to dismiss him. In a preemptive move, the army leadership took control of key state institutions, including the airport, state television, and the Prime Minister's residence. When Musharraf's plane landed safely in Karachi, he was in a position of power, and he promptly placed Sharif under arrest. The bloodless coup brought an end to Sharif's government and to the decade of democratic experiments. Musharraf declared himself chief executive, suspended the constitution, and took control of the country, justifying his actions by citing the need to end corruption and political instability. The 1990s in Pakistan had come full circle, ending just as they began, with the military back in charge.